Well guys, it's our last videos today. Gonna have a video about the lamb. We'll have another video about the tiger. I got to talk over some yard work that's going on, and I got a neighbor working on his motorcycle over on the next block. I'll try and make this short and sweet today, get you all the important things that you need. First poem today, one of two poems by the same author, is The Lamb by William Blake. Born 1757, he dies 1827. He's considered a pre-romantic poet. He's incredibly hard to classify because he's done so many things that were completely unlike the people that had come before him, but greatly influenced the people that come after him. He's largely unrecognized and ignored in his own lifetime. His future generations, though, have, what does it say? Future generations all, the way to modern times, cite him, though, as a tremendous influence. Bob Dylan has cited Blake as a guy who really understood how to deliver a message. Andy Warhol, like that. The Lamb is published in Songs of Innocence in 1789, probably written even earlier, when he was a very young man, probably in his late teens, somewhere around there. It's a simple poem. It's rhyming couplets, 2 10-line stanzas. Every line lines with the its companion line. First stanza asks a question, and the second stanza answers that question. Second stanza reveals that the speaker is, in fact, a child. I, a child, and thou, a lamb. We're dealing with a young kid. And lastly, number 4, the big literary techniques, symbolism and illusion. The lamb is a symbol for innocence. It's published in a collection of his poems called Songs of Innocence. The illusion, of course, is to the Bible, to the New Testament. Jesus is considered called the Lamb of God. Again, lambs are always considered to be the sacrifice, the innocent thing that would never harm anybody. Lamb by William Blake. Little lamb, who made thee? Dost thou know who made thee? Gave thee life and bid thee feed by the stream and o'er the mead. Gave thee clothing of delight, softest clothing, woolly bright. Gave thee such a tender voice, making all the vales rejoice. Little lamb, who made thee? Dost thou know who made thee? Little lamb, I'll tell thee. Little lamb, I'll tell thee. He is called by thy name, for he calls himself a lamb. He is meek, he is mild. He became a little child. I a child, and thou a lamb. We are called by his name. Little lamb, God bless thee. Little lamb, God bless thee. If you've ever babysat for a younger sibling, or just babysat in general for little kids, you know that they love to ask questions, and once they know the answer to that question, they want to tell everybody they possibly can. Little lamb, who made thee? Little child asking the lamb, do you know where you came from? The second stanza, the child's found out the answer, he wants to tell the lamb. You and I come from the same place. It's a very simple, you don't need to give the family health graphic description of where babies come from. He gets a simple explanation from his parents, suitable for his age. You come from God. You are perfect, you are wonderful, and all good things come from God. That's where you come from. And he runs out and he tells his friend the lamb. On my Google page, you can also see the visual illustrations, and we'll talk about them in a second. Thanks. Hello, my 9th graders. How are you? Mr. Abernathy, in with our last poems that we are going to be annotating. Blake, he's pretty romantic. What does that mean? It means different than the age of reason, the age of formalism that follows up the Renaissance. He's one of the first guys to begin to follow the romantic values that people like Samuel Taylor Coleridge and William Wordsworth are going to follow, and then all the guys that come after him, Keats, Shelley, Byron, are going to really run with. But they're going to value inspiration and creativity and emotion over almost anything else. They're going to reject formalism and slavery to intellect. So not true free verse, but you're going to find that Blake is less bound to some of the ideas about how a poem should look and how a poem should work, and then beats per measure and things like that. Okay, so here we are. We're down at the lamb. Let's make it bigger. The lamb. Here we go. Simple, easy end rhyme. Some of it's identical rhyme. Thee and thee, of course, match, but then feed and mead. Mead is just a brook or a stream. Delight, bright, voice, rejoice. Going down to the next stanza, same thing. You got to strain it a little bit here. Name and lamb, but mild and child. And then again, lamb and name. Just kind of switches it up a little bit there. Switches up the order. Questions in the first, or question, big question in the first stanza. Little lamb, who made thee? Question. Do you know who made you? Do you know where you come from? Question all little kids want to ask. By inference, if you find out where the lamb comes from, you know where you come from. Okay? Identity. Who am I? Sometimes you can find out who you are by where you're from. And like a true child, gets the answer, wants to tell everyone. A little kid can't keep that information to themselves. Little lamb, I'll tell thee. Little lamb, I'll tell thee. He, capital H, is called by thy name, for he calls himself a lamb. He is meek, he is mild, he became a little child. I a child, and thou a lamb. We are called by his name. Here's the capital that's important. Obviously talking about God, some sort of, I can't spell, because I'm looking through my camera. God, the creator, okay? Blake was very devout. He didn't believe in organized religion, but he was very devout. He rejected the Church of England strongly, but he knew the Bible backwards and forwards, read it all the time, obsessed even as a child with visions of angels and stuff. He was very spiritual man. We are called by his name. We are the symbols of innocence. He is called by thy name. He calls himself a lamb. He is meek and he is mild. Look at all the other good things that a lamb is, okay? Clothing of delight, softest clothing, woolly bright. Talk about a lamb's fleece, gave thee such a tender voice, making all the vales rejoice. What's a lamb sound like? Bah, cute little, delicious, wonderful, innocent voice, okay? I a child, thou a lamb, we are called by his name. Again, here the symbol is working. Lamb equals innocence. Let me get it out over there so you can see it. Lamb equals innocence. Okay? A simple theology, a simple question for a simple speaker. How do we know it's a simple speaker? Blake was a multimedia artist. He was a painter. He was an engraver, along with being a poet and wrote long epic poems as well as these short little poems. Here is, let's back this bad boy up. There we go. Here's how Blake wanted you to see his poem. He would do this engraving process on a copper plate where he would do the scene with some sort of acrylic or some sort of enamel paint, and then he would pour acid over the copper or the bronze plates and would eat away, giving him a reversed relief. He could do a printing of it. It made things faster. He could illuminate the manuscript, do stuff on the outside, and all different versions of the Blake poems that we have come in different colors. I have a very different set of handouts that I would give out in class. But right here in the foreground, let's see if I can get a little closer to it, make it a little bit larger. There it is. There's our speaker. There's the little child. He lives in this little shepherd's hut behind him, speaking to the flock of sheep that his family owns. So once again, we're back to 200 years before. We're back to Christopher Marlowe and Sir Walter Raleigh. We're back in the field. We're back in this pastoral setting. Okay, but there's a little shepherd's hut. There are these vines that illuminate the side of the manuscript. So we know who our speaker is. Okay, and we know exactly the point that Blake is trying to make. You want to engage your senses on a variety of different levels. That is the lamb, kids, and I'll set up the tiger right now.